Peter and Mike, firstly, how are we both? Good to have you on, Pete. How's things?
Yeah. Again, thanks for having us on. Obviously, the obvious aside, yeah, not too bad. Thank you. But yeah, looking forward to just explaining a bit about ourselves and our group and our community.
Yeah, good. Mike, yourself, thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, no, as Pete said, thanks for having us, and yeah, all good, thank you. But yeah, as Pete said, we're sort of looking forward to just sharing a bit more about sort of what's going on, how bit more about the community in Bradford and how the club have been great with us as well. Because we've put a little bit on Twitter here and there, but it'd be good to sort of get into a little bit more detail and share a bit around that as well.
Just, I guess, firstly, I'll just ask you kind of your roots and connections when it comes to both, obviously, Ukraine and also Bradford City. So I don't know if you want to kick us off, Mike.
Yeah, happy to. So firstly, Bradford City, being a Bradford City fan since a young kid, sort of gone through the family really, parents, brother, sister, we've been going sort of pretty much all my life. So yeah, sort of dedicated fan home and away. So that's sort of the Bradford City side. The Ukrainian side, I'm a third generation Ukrainian. So it was my grandfather that was Ukrainian on my dad's side. Came over, married an Italian woman. So I've got Italian roots as well. And since then, sort of just been an active member within the Ukrainian community in Bradford, which obviously we'll delve into a little bit more detail around that. So yeah, so they're my roots. I'll let Pete jump in now.
Yes, similar story on the Ukrainian side. All my grandparents actually are from Ukraine, and they came over after the end of the Second World War in the late 1940s, and then they were very active in establishing a Ukrainian community in general. So actually, my father's side are from Oldham, but my mum's side are from Bradford. But they organised communities in both Bradford and Oldham. And then, yeah, being a Bradford City fan, it's probably thanks to Michael and a couple of our other friends that we grew up with. Because, like I said, my dad's actually an Oldham fan, but luckily I was born over here, this side of the Pennines. And I wanted to go to football with my mates Michael and a couple others. So that's how I fell into the Bradford City trap.
No, you just mentioned it there about the community in Bradford. I think a lot of people, it's a shame it's happened in such sad circumstances, but I don't think a lot of people realised what kind of what strong Ukrainian community there is in Bradford. I think someone told me the other day, I might be wrong, but outside of London, is it the biggest Ukrainian community in the country? Would I be right thinking that, or something around that?
Yes, certainly. When people first came over, like I say, in the late 1940s, it was definitely one of the biggest ones. A lot of people who came over as displaced persons, and they were sent to different locations around the UK specifically to work. So obviously Bradford in those days was a big heavy mill industry, and a lot of our parents working in that kind of area. And then whilst they weren't working, they were setting up a home from home, always with the kind of intention of going back to an independent Ukraine, but wanting to live their life here as well, with a bit of Ukraine with them.